At first glance, reality feels solid. The ground beneath our feet, the air filling our lungs, the reassuring weight of objects in our hands. For most of human history, this solidity went unquestioned. Stone was stone, water was water. The world appeared stable, dependable, and complete. But science has a way of quietly pulling at these assumptions until they unravel. What we perceive as matter is mostly empty space. Atoms, once imagined as tiny, solid spheres, are instead vast arenas of motion. A dense nucleus, surrounded by electrons that never truly settle, never truly stop. Between them, more emptiness than substance. Touch, then, is an illusion of forces. The resistance you feel is not contact, but electromagnetic repulsion. Your hand never truly meets the surface it presses against. Reality, at its most basic level, refuses to be touched. Even time, which seems to flow steadily forward, begins to blur under scrutiny. Clocks tick differently depending on speed and gravity. A satellite above Earth ages more quickly than the ground below it. The present moment stretches and contracts, shaped by motion and mass. And scale matters. What feels permanent to us, mountains, continents, oceans, is temporary when viewed from a geological eye. Plates drift. Seas rise and fall. Entire worlds reshape themselves without urgency, without intention. Yet none of this feels unstable. Our senses smooth over the cracks. Evolution has tuned perception not for truth, but for survival. We see what keeps us alive, not what is actually there. So the question begins quietly. If matter is mostly empty, if time is flexible, if permanence is an illusion of scale, what exactly is the world made of? As we look closer, far closer than the human eye was ever meant to see, the solid world begins to dissolve. And in its place, something far stranger waits. When scientists peer deeper into matter, solidity collapses into probability. At the smallest scales, particles do not occupy fixed positions. They exist as chances, likelihoods, mathematical descriptions of where something might be, not where it is. An electron does not orbit a nucleus like a planet around a star. It forms a cloud, a blur of potential locations. Only when measured does it choose a place. Until then, it is everywhere and nowhere at once. This is not metaphor. It is measurement. In the quantum world, observation changes outcome. The act of looking interferes with what is seen. Reality responds to attention. Not emotionally, not consciously, but physically. Particles can exist in multiple states at once. A condition known as superposition. They can influence one another instantly across vast distances, bound by entanglement, defying classical ideas of separation and space. These effects are not rare. They are constant. They form the foundation of every atom, every molecule, every cell in your body. The solid world is built on rules that appear to contradict common sense. And yet it holds. Why doesn't reality feel quantum? Why doesn't the world shimmer with uncertainty? Because complexity smooths chaos. Trillions of particles average out their strangeness. Probability hardens into predictability. The weird becomes invisible. But under extreme conditions, near absolute zero, inside powerful magnets, or at the edge of collapsing stars, the quantum nature of reality breaks through. Matter behaves as waves. Energy condenses into particles. The boundaries dissolve. Even empty space is not empty. It seethes with temporary particles blinking in and out of existence. A restless vacuum, alive with borrowed energy. So what we call nothing is something. And what we call solid is a delicate balance of forces, constantly on the verge of falling apart. The deeper we look, the less substance remains. And the closer we come to asking a dangerous question. Is solidity a property of reality, or a convenience of perception? Beyond the quantum world lies another instability, space and time themselves. Once thought to be rigid backdrops, they are now understood as dynamic, responsive, and fragile. Gravity is not a force pulling objects together. It is the bending of space-time. Mass curves reality, and objects simply follow those curves. The heavier the mass, the deeper the distortion. Near Earth, this bending is gentle, barely noticeable. But near a neutron star or black hole, space-time collapses into extremes. Time slows. Space stretches. Directions lose meaning. At the edge of a black hole, the rules unravel completely. The future points inward. escape becomes impossible. And at the center, beyond the reach of measurement, our equations fail. We do not know what happens there. Our best theories, general relativity and quantum mechanics, cannot agree. Each works beautifully in its own domain. Together, they conflict. Reality, it seems, is stitched together from incompatible truths. This fracture hints at something deeper. Perhaps space-time is not fundamental at all. Perhaps it emerges from something smaller, more abstract. Information, relationships, patterns we do not yet understand. Some theories suggest space is built from quantum entanglement. That distance is not real in the way we think. That connection precedes location. If true, then the universe is less like a structure and more like a network, not made of things, but of links. And once again, solidity dissolves. Space bends. Time stretches. Reality behaves less like a stage and more like a living process. What we experience as stable may simply be what remains consistent long enough for us to notice. And the deeper we travel, toward extremes of mass, speed, and scale, the more obvious the instability becomes. As if reality itself is quietly admitting, this is not finished. This is not fixed. If reality is unstable at its foundations, what does that mean for us? For the bodies and minds built from this shifting framework, biology feels tangible. Cells divide, muscles contract, neurons fire. But life, too, rests on uncertainty. Chemical reactions depend on quantum effects. Proteins fold through probabilities. Even mutations, the engine of evolution, are rooted in chance. Your body is not a static object. It is a process. Atoms flow through you. Cells die and are replaced. Over years, almost nothing remains of the material you were born with. And yet, you persist. Consciousness itself resists definition. Thoughts arise from electrical signals, which arise from chemical gradients, which arise from quantum interactions. Somewhere along this chain, experience emerges. But where? At what point does matter begin to feel? No one knows. The brain does not store memories like files. It reconstructs them. Each recollection is a new version, influenced by the present. Even your past is not solid. Perception fills gaps. It stabilizes motion. It invents continuity. Colors, sounds, and textures are interpretations, not properties. Reality is filtered, edited, and simplified before it reaches awareness. What you see is not what is there. It is what your brain expects. This is not a flaw. It is a survival strategy. A fully accurate perception of reality would be overwhelming. Too complex. Too unstable. So evolution chose comfort over truth. But science keeps peeling back the layers. And each layer reveals the same pattern. Beneath apparent solidity lies flux. Beneath certainty lies approximation. The more we understand ourselves, the harder it becomes to say where the world ends and where we begin. If identity, memory, and perception are all in motion, what, exactly, is solid about being human? On the largest scales, the universe offers no comfort either. Galaxies drift apart. Space expands. The fabric of reality stretches, carrying light with it. Most of the universe is invisible. Dark matter outweighs normal matter by a wide margin, shaping galaxies through gravity alone. Dark energy accelerates expansion, pushing everything apart faster and faster. We do not know what either is. They do not interact with light. They leave no direct trace. And yet, without them, the universe we see could not exist. What we call reality, then, is a minority presence in a much larger, unseen structure. Even the constants of nature, the numbers that define physics, may not be constant everywhere. Some theories suggest they vary across cosmic distances. Others propose multiple universes, each with different rules. If true, then solidity is local, temporary, contextual. Stars are born, burn, and die. Atoms forged in their cores scatter into space, becoming planets, oceans, and life. Everything solid you know was once plasma, and will be again. Nothing lasts. Not even the laws, perhaps. Yet patterns endure. Structures repeat. Order emerges from chaos, again and again. Reality is unstable, but not random. It behaves more like a river than a building. Always changing, yet always flowing. And we are part of that flow. Made of star remnants, shaped by probabilities, held together by forces we barely understand. The universe does not offer permanence. It offers process. And in that process, solidity is not a guarantee, but a moment. So where does this leave us? Standing on ground that is not quite solid. Looking at a world that is less certain the closer we examine it. Reality is not a collection of fixed objects. It is an ongoing negotiation between forces, scales, and perspectives. What feels stable is what changes slowly enough for us to adapt. Science has not removed mystery. It has deepened it. Each discovery reveals a deeper layer of uncertainty. Each answer opens new questions. The more precisely we measure reality, the less definite it becomes. And yet, this instability is not a failure. It is a feature. It allows complexity. It allows life. It allows thought. In a universe that were truly solid, unchanging and exact, nothing new could emerge. No stars. No evolution. No consciousness. Flux is not the enemy of meaning. It is the source of it. We may never reach the bottom. There may be no final layer where everything becomes simple. Only deeper descriptions, closer approximations, and better questions. Reality, it seems, is not built to be fully grasped, only explored. And perhaps that is enough. Because in a world where nothing is entirely solid, curiosity becomes our anchor, wonder becomes our compass, and the mystery remains.